Hey, Michelle.
Hey, Mark, how are you?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Hey, we need to go to Santa Cruz County. We're in May, but we're going to take a look at April. Let's dive in.
Yeah, definitely. So we're going to talk about a couple of things that are really important. Well, I guess it's more than two, so it's more. It's not a
I think,
couple,
yeah,
a
there's going to
few,
be a lot.
a few things, and just kind of getting at what we're hearing out there. And so we're going to definitely talk about prices.
Okay.
We're also going to talk about new listings and kind of the issue we have right now with closed sales and some of the stats because year over year, the pandemic
Yeah, that
kind of threw things
comparison
up.
is sort of tough right now.
Yeah, we're going to have some challenges with that. So I have some suggestions. And then we're going to talk about, the competitiveness because we have not seen that slow down and we have the data to, kind of show what's going on in the different cities. So we'll
Got it.
dive right in. I mean, first things first, Mark, we
Okay,
did
surf's up,
finally,
as they say in Santa Cruz. Surf is
we,
up.
we finally did get a chart that would fit what is happening there. But that was a major number. We saw it kind of early, thought maybe it would adjust down and
Right.
didn't. It's an all-time high price. Another one for Santa Cruz County. That's a 14% increase from just the month before, right? So it's also 14% increase from the last high, right? So, I mean, it's just kind of interesting because that's pretty significant. Sometimes we see things in shop. We saw it in shop a little bit in Santa Clara County. Saw San Mateo hit that $2 million mark and things, but it was just it's pretty exceptional at what's happened over the last couple of months in Santa Cruz County. So if you look by city, right, the only non-positive, I'll call it, number is Santa Cruz, the
Yeah.
city. Um,
Off by 2,000, folks.
yeah,
2,000. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's pretty substantial. I mean, Freedom, keep in mind one sale, but we generally have just seen a lot of price appreciation. So you don't really have that kind of county price appreciation unless you can see it in the various cities. And so it's been pretty substantial. We've seen it also in neighboring Santa Clara County. I mean, this is pretty consistent. I mean, one of the things we hear from people, and we we have acted, we have heard you, we have acted. People say, "Hey, Michelle, how come we can't see the common interest slides like you have for the single family?" So one of the things I thought I would introduce here is a 2+ year trend line for common interest to show while that is not all time or anything in April of 2021, but it's still relatively high, and we see 2 months of increases. It's 11% up from March. And I think it's interesting to note, I put a little note here, like last year of 2020-04, the kind of the heart of the pandemic, and yet prices were rising, even just in spite of the pandemic. And so, this market can be kind of volatile, but there were quite a few people buying. It kept on the upswing, even from last year. So anyway, we're still going to look month over month. I guess I should have mentioned that on the single family home slides. We're not going to do the year over year. They're fine, Mark. The year over year stats, you're going to see them whether you get a car report or an Aculist report, or, that's a very common way to look at the market stats. So if you do see, median sale price year over year, it's okay. You just have to note there were fewer sales. So there could be a little bit more volatility because there were fewer in the aggregate number. But we're going to focus on month over month because, like you can see here in the common interest, even from March to April, March it was very strong. We're still seeing price appreciation both in the single family and common interest market. It just is really, really great for your sellers in Santa Cruz right now. Pretty tough on the buyers. The only good news, I think, for your buyers, I mean, that sounds harsh, but yeah, I think the only good news really is that the number of new listings. So here we see single family homes. We see 3 straight months of increases, which is normal. It's that time of year, but a 25% increase from March, right? So we're seeing sellers come on the market, and that I shouldn't say can sometimes put a little bit of downward pressure on prices, or at least stop them from maybe going up, because you'll have a little bit more choice. And so maybe your buyers at least have a little bit more to look at, maybe a little more competition for the sellers. But this is the type of year. Notice it's more in this month than we have seen in the last 2 years, right? So that's good. Let's
Yeah.
focus on the
Hopefully,
positive.
there's a lot of pent up demand, though. There's a
Good for
lot of folks
buyers,
wanting
yeah.
homes.
I guess I should be really specific. Good for buyers. We did see where month over month there were quite a few new listings that came on the market. Scotts Valley, SoCal, the only ones that decreased, and not by much, right? A couple, 2, 3 homes. So in general, sellers are coming on the market to take advantage of this, and inventory continues to be at historic lows. I mean, all down, all counties that we follow down compared to a year ago. I think what goes on is coming right back off. Same thing in common interest. So you're interested to see these new listings because that tells you a little bit about how that pricing is going to go, right? How competitive it's going to be. Are we seeing enough inventory to kind of move the needle, so to speak? But it's a little bit more mixed in the common interest. So we'll see what happens. My recommendation, and I did this last video as well last month, was still to keep with the weeklies. This is the Aculist Weekly. They're available on Pro. Well, the link is available on the Pro homepage. The link to get to this data is there. This is new listings. I recommend this because it's a look at 2 years ago. It includes both common interest and single family. It gives you a lot of information. You can see how earlier in the month we were trending much higher than the last 2 years. Now in Santa Cruz County, we're at right at where we were a couple years ago. So it gives you a little bit of a sense of, normalcy. And look on the right-hand side, Mark, we're going to get back on track here pretty quickly, right? So the pandemic kind of recovered. Right. Yeah, so it's going to give you an indicator of that too. When are the stats safe? When's it safe to go back in the water? But closed sales also in that. So every Tuesday morning, you can get that. That's brand new. And I really encourage people to go there if they're interested in some of that data for sure for the next couple of months. Now, the last piece, I think, to the puzzle, and it is something we don't usually cover, but man, has it been a staple in Santa Cruz County for the last few months.
We usually don't have to cover it because it's 99 and 100.
No, it's like 99 and 98. Look at the left-hand side of the graph. Starting in March of last year, we saw that 101%, but I mean, it's been, this 106, I'm pretty sure that's an all-time high, Mark. I mean, I went back to 2013. I didn't see anything. So I don't know for sure, but definitely really, really high. That's 108. Sorry, did I just say 106? That's 108%, right? So that just means that people are really having to pay over ask when you look at the city level. I mean, is this Santa Clara County? It looks like Santa Clara County. Yeah, so man, it's definitely month over month, we see La Selva Beach, Boulder Creek, Freedom, but some fewer sales for sure. Boulder Creek usually has a decent amount, but still over 100%. So even those that decline from April from March, it's still pretty well over 100%. We're seeing a lot of increases. Common interest as well. Scotts Valley, the only common interest market that had a higher sale to list price ratio in March.
Right.
But the common interest market has been over 100% for sale to list price ratio since September of 2020, Mark. So this is one of those things where you think it's a trend. You're like, wow, this is going to kind of back down and settle. But it sure hasn't. And it's starting to be one of those things where it's been 8 to 10 months and, we'll see what happens. So anyway, when you're talking to your clients and things, I mean, definitely the story is there's definitely more new listings inventory that are coming on, but you got to act quickly. Prices are high, sale to list price ratios are really high, and it's a great time to be a seller. It's a tough time to be a buyer, but we'll keep our eye on it and see next month, what we can bring, what May has in store for us, and be back in a month to talk about it.
Wonderful, Michelle. Thank you very much for keeping us informed. So all of our people can go out, concentrate on getting the client, selling those homes that they can, while we're keeping an eye on the stats for them. Greatly appreciated.